All right.
Catalog.
So what we got next?
All right, let's move on to yours. This is still a horror versus horror one, but
Horror
I'm
v
just gonna
horror.
go ahead and spin the wheel.
Okay.
Okay, this this is Chernabog.
The what?
This is Chernabog
What is
from
the Chernabog?
Chernabog is from Disney's Fantasia.
Oh boy. Okay.
The giant devil at the end of the movie.
Oh.
Um, Now, for those of you who are
Oh, okay.
unfamiliar, who you got?
I got the Merman from Cabin in the Woods.
Was he? I have seen Cabin in the Woods. Yes.
Okay.
Um,
Remember that one guy was like, damn, I'm never going to see a merman. And then he gets eaten by the merman later in the movie at near the end. And he's like, God damn it. And then it just like eats his face.
it's just it's just a side character.
Yeah. It's just like a fucking
It's just
just flops because like
funny.
he bets on merman every year, but he never
Oh,
gets it because no one
okay.
like no one
Yeah.
ever
Now,
gets it.
now it's coming back to me. Now it's coming back to me.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Chernabog from Fantasia
Yeah.
is also kaiju sized. The size of a mountain. He's a giant devil. Chernabog is
Mm-hmm.
based on the real folklore Slavic death god. And
Yes.
in the Fantasia film, basically is a giant devil that raises all of the souls of the dead from the nearby town and turns them into all sorts of devils and creatures, be them like anthropomorphic pigs and harpies and wisps and all sorts of like demons and creatures to dance for his entertainment. Sometimes he just kills them just cuz, sometimes he just
Mm-hmm.
lets them go. He's just
Yep.
having a grand old time, and then once the but the key thing is that once the church bells ring in the morning, his power is ended and he must
Mm-hmm.
slumber again until I don't know if this is a nightly thing that happens to this town, which sounds pretty crazy. Um, I don't know if this just happens every night, like, oh, it's 8 p.m., better get inside before the mountain wakes up. Or if this is like a yearly thing, but the main thing to remember is that the light does indeed vanquish him. He does not much care for the light. He is a very evil force. But if
Mm-hmm.
we continue his canon and we move on to the House of Mouse TV show, he is also afraid of the dark or something, which is very funny. He's it's a really dope scene in the movie. It's a really great
Mm-hmm.
scene in Fantasia, but
Yes.
Chernabog becomes a hilarious character in the aftermath because they put him in like House of Mouse and make him just like a big, just like goofy
A
dude.
huge bitch.
Yeah, they just make him funny, like he's just a bro, and I think
Okay.
that's hilarious.
Okay.
So take with that what you will, but the main thing is that he is huge and can summon demons.
Okay. All right. So I'm not gonna be able to pull out a whole lot for this, but let me see what I got here. So in Cabin in the Woods, there's a whole list of all these monsters and demons and shit that the people in the cabin in the woods could accidentally summon, right?
Mhm. Right.
And they have regions all over the world, right? Because there's different things. Because sometimes, not everyone, like sometimes they defeat the evil, right? The evil
Yeah.
is defeated,
Uh-huh.
right? Um, this one, the evil that was summoned is the Chernabog in Eastern Europe. Let's call it that region,
You know
right?
what? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So the Chernabog is summoned. Yeah, because they just decided to play an entire orchestra in that cabin in the woods in the basement, right? Right.
Yeah.
The music just bland. Ba, ba, da, da, right. So that's been summoned, right? And all the shit in the Cabin in the Woods movie like happens, and
Good.
all the monsters escape, and everything's just fucking going wrong, right? But meanwhile, Chernabog's just fucking jamming on the mountain, just bah, bah,
Yeah.
da, da, right?
Pretty metal, man.
Getting hype, all
Yeah.
that stuff, right? And then just as the merman is finishing eating the guy that's bet on him for the last like 20 years,
Uh-huh.
uh, he like he hears this fucking rad concert going on outside,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like he gets in the elevator, he just kind of like flops through,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes like 3 hours, but he does manage to get outside the cabin and look at the mountain and see, oh, it's the Chernabog up there, right?
Yeah.
Like
The
the
monster park.
merman, the merman's just like kind of gathering information as he goes. He's water based, but he can be out for a long time, obviously,
Yeah.
enough to kill people.
Yeah.
uh,
Does he know what he's got in store for?
right. And he sees this giant devil man and all these other little demons that kind of look like him, right?
Right.
And so just like there's little fat demons and there's little like weird ones with tails and all this stuff, and like
Wow, how diverse.
yeah, and it's like, oh, I want to be part of this, right? So he kind of flops over, and like there's all this, like fucking like da, 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 da. Like he's just joining in on the party. He's right.
That's the sound of a merman jamming, by the way.
Yeah.
You
Like
didn't know what they sound like in nature? Yeah, it's just like
he's
that.
fucking loving it, right? And then um and like while the Chernabog's just like fucking rocking out, he's like, yeah, how we feeling tonight, Germany? Right.
Open up this fucking pit.
Yeah. I want to see you motherfucking demons over there. I want to see you motherfucking demons over there. I want to see you come together. I want to see this mosh pit of fucking death. Let's go.
The rest of you put your hands in the air.
Right? Hail me. Right. And in the midst of the mosh pit of death, right?
Yeah.
Sees like the demons going through, and then sees like one little demon is just weird and like discolored and like looking really soggy.
Yeah.
And he's just like, what the hell is that? that's not one of my guys.
Right.
And so he just notices this little merman is just rocking out and just like part of the party, and he's hold the fuck on. Right? Stops the music, stops everything, stops the concert basically.
Yeah.
And just, you there, right?
Uh-huh.
And then like everyone just turns and looks at the merman.
Mm-hmm.
And the merman's like, huh? Me? Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you? And the merman just like, he doesn't talk, so he can't respond in any way, shape, or form. And so the merman just kind of like flops up, like he gets to a position where he can kind of like be shown in a position and like communicate with the Chernabog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's assume that because Aquaman is psychic to fish,
Okay.
right? Let's assume that this merman is also psychic in a sense. Right?
Okay.
At least on a wavelength enough that the Chernabog can get, right?
All right.
Because the Chernabog, omnipotent. He's got all kinds of, he's different species and all this stuff. I doubt they all speak the same language or even the same like communication skills.
Right.
So, for the sake of this show,
Okay.
let's say the merman is psychic on a frequency enough that the Chernabog can pick up.
All right.
So now they're communicating.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, essentially, you're not part of the regular crew. Get out, right? You're not supposed to be here.
Right.
And the merman just wants to party, right? He sees this awesome concert. He appreciates classic music, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And the merman's essentially, in his mind, just whoa, 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 just being like, but I like what you're doing out here. Can I join the crew? And obviously the Chernabog's like, fuck no, get away from me.
Right.
Kill him, right? And then the demons just start swarming the merman. However, the merman is a fucking murderous beast.
Yeah.
So the merman just starts this whirlwind of blood and death, just ripping these demons apart, just with his mouth and his floppy fins, right? Just doing some Pokemon like spin attacks, right? Just smacking demons up and down the caverns, like ripping them in two and just like throwing them down the mountain and all this shit. And this crazy like pinwheel of death that the merman is doing is like inspiring the Chernabog to like play some more music. It's like, fuck yeah, let's go.
He only plays Night on Bald Mountain. It's only Night on Bald Mountain.
Right. But he'll do like remixes of it.
Yeah.
He'll do remixes. Right. And then he'll do the fucking like the bass drop with it. Right. So he's feeling inspired. He's feeling like the death and destruction, and he's like, fuck yeah, right. He's loving it, right?
Yeah.
Despite all his minion friends like getting fucking murdered, right? Because he doesn't give a shit about them anyway.
Yeah, he can bring them back if he wants to.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when the song's over, the merman's just standing there covered in like demon blood, and it's just like, am I in now? Right? And then the church bells ring. And
then it's just over.
Yeah, this is over. And it's like,
see you next.
Oh man, sorry man, I can't answer you now. I gotta go. Bye. He doesn't really give him an answer as he fades away.
I'm back at 9.
Yeah.
We open at 9.
So that's all I got left.
You know what? You took that way longer than I thought anyone could possibly. Originally, I thought you meant like Merman as in the guy that bets on the Merman, and you just like gave him that name. So I was thinking it would just be like this office worker going against this deaf god, and that
no.
And but no. Obviously, I've mentioned before how some of these matchups would be an utter curb stomp. This is definitely one of those. I was thinking of going in a direction of like, since he killed the merman guy, like the guy that bets on him all the time, he let Chernabog actually raises that soul and like reincarnates him and makes them fight each other. Because
that's one way to go.
The spirit of the dead.
Yes,
but I like your concert idea. I've been to enough shitty death metal concerts to know that like shitty local artists to know that that's pretty much exactly how it would go. I want you to put your hands in the air. Come on, come on, put your hands in the air, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, no.
that's fun.
I'm actually really happy with how that turned out.
Yeah, that could have gone much simpler, but it didn't, and that's why we love it.
That's why the show works.
And we're better off for it. And I can guarantee you, no one on the face of this earth has ever once said, "You know what would be a versus match I'd like to know about? The Fantasia Devil versus the background merman character from Cabin in the Woods."
There was like one like almost funny like scare when they did the Cabin in the Woods house at Universal Studios for
Yeah,
Halloween Horror Nights. You just look into like one room and the merman's like eating a dude. Like that's it.
that's funny.
That's just chomping away. And you're like, oh, it's the fucking merman. All right,
There
cool.
he is. The setup for this though is so funny to me. Because now I'm imagining like a 50-piece orchestra, like, hey, we rented a cabin. Like, yeah,
We're gonna take some
let's rent this
time.
cabin.
We're gonna go practice out in the woods. We're gonna be as loud as we want. We're gonna be experimenting. We're gonna have an orgy later. It's gonna be great.
Band kids.
Band kids.
Yeah. Um, but just imagine, but they go, and it's still like the same size cabin that you'd normally expect. It cannot logically fit 50 people, and they go
They're
down
like 10 to a room.
and they're like, "Oh wow, shit, a cello, wow, and a tuba."
Wow, everything that we need.
Yeah, just a whole like giant orchestra laying in the basement. Wow, you know what we should play? You know what, Night on Bald Mountain's pretty cool. Wow, what a coincidence. The sheet music's right here.
Wow, we're right under Bald Mountain. Did you know that?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Just the visual of that, like all 50 of them are like creeping down the stairs like one by one, like each looking at an artifact before being like, wow, hey, wait a minute, guys, what's this? They point and no one seems to notice the giant 50-piece orchestra.
No one ever looks at the giant orchestra set in there.
No,
It's got
no.
like everything that they need. You know, like a triangle.
Wow, a xylophone. Perfect.
It's dusty, but it still works.
Wow, check it. This triangle's still in tune.
Wow, 4 French horns. We have 4 French horn players.
Who would have thought? What are the odds? Hey guys, check it out. Kazoos. Whoa.
Amazing.
All right. That was fun. That was fun. Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing this into my life.
That's good.